Ladies and gentlemen, please help us count down the last 10 seconds to kick off International China Concern Gala 2021, the race against time. And now, please welcome your Master of Ceremonies, Mr. David Gotts.
Hey David, looks like you could use a lift.
All right, what can I get for you?
Can I get 2 black coffees, one with 1 sugar, please? Thank you so much. You have been a lifesaver.
Oh, David, it was my absolute pleasure. Have a great show tonight.
I know. I shouldn't have got the coffee.
Next time, you gotta listen to the blind guy.
Hello, my name is David Gotts and I'm the founder of International China Concern and your host for this Race Against Time Gala. I'd like to welcome you to this evening's event. We're excited to have you with us and we're looking forward to a fun, inspiring and meaningful time together. Just for the record, I am now wearing my jeans. I hope you enjoyed that funny skit. I know that I, along with Para-Olympian Donovan Tilsley, had a lot of fun making it. Going through the drive-thru in a McDonald's jogging stroller was really a lot of fun. Donovan Tilsley has had a great career as a Paralympian. He's won 5 gold medals, 4 silver medals and 3 bronze medals during his career as a Paralympic swimmer. Remind me next time to not make a fool of myself though at the beginning of the gala. Well, most importantly, I hope you enjoyed seeing the images of the children as we counted down to the beginning of the live stream. Every one of the children that you saw is a member of ICC's big family. We know each one by name, we know their circumstances, we know the challenges that they face, and we know the pain and their victories, and we're with them every step of the way. This evening, first and foremost, is about these children. It's about the 620 children that ICC already serves, and even more critically, it's about the thousands of other children with disabilities that ICC has had the opportunity to serve. For those children with a disability who are still in China's welfare system, as well as for families raising a child with a disability that are still waiting for help, time is running out. So that is why tonight's event is called The Race Against Time. We're in a race to help those families that have a child with a disability before that mounting pressure of stigma and prejudice and poverty breaks them apart. As you're going to hear tonight, every day, that families face this pressure that pushes them towards unimaginable places of pain. We're also in a race to help those children with disabilities that remain in China's welfare centres who are experiencing neglect and hopelessness. Time is running out for them to receive the love and the care and the support that they need. And there are very real consequences to that. Without that support, a child may never learn to be able to walk, never learn to be able to feed him or herself, never know the security and protection that they need, and never know what it means to be part of a family. Never know what it's like to be included, or to get to school, or receive an education, or have medical care. And in fact, for some, they may not even live. So tonight, we're asking you to join the race against time. We're asking you to be part of a movement that can bring hope to families and help them stay together. We're asking you to reach out across the miles into the lives of children with the pain of abandonment and isolation and hopelessness so that they can receive the love, care and support that they need. Well, we've got a great evening ahead. Let me give you a sneak peek of what you can expect during our gala. Take a look.
The first years of her life were spent living in terrible poverty in a Chinese welfare center. Tonight, Suanu shares the story of her 25-year journey to become an accomplished pianist and music teacher. Living with a disability creates challenges no matter where in the world you are. Meet Lowell and Julie, a couple whose passion for adventure has taken them across the globe. Although Lowell is blind, he does not let that limit his dreams, and his sights are now set on representing his country in the Tokyo Paralympics.
I need a big goal.
Meet Liang Liang, a young boy with Down syndrome whose race has just begun. Expected to die as a baby, Liang Liang has defied all the doctors' expectations and is growing up as a beloved part of the ICC family. Jiaxin's mother contemplated taking both her daughter's life and her own because of the pressure and isolation of raising a child with a disability. We'll hear of the hope that Jiaxin's mother found and how that hope can impact 7,000 more families.
I'm so excited about this evening. Over the last months, I've had the opportunity, whilst I've been preparing, to connect with some amazing stories. And I've had the opportunity to meet some incredible people. And I'm in no doubt that by the end of this evening, your hearts will not only be touched, but you're going to be greatly inspired by these amazing people. This evening, of course, we're also trying to raise funds so that ICC's work can impact even more lives. Our goal this evening is to raise €7,500. And I'm really excited to tell you that tonight we have €5,500 in matching funds. What that means is for every euro that you give, an ICC donor will match it with another euro, up to a total of 5,500. I think it's going to be easy for us, hopefully, to hit our target tonight. I also want to let you know about a really meaningful raffle prize that we have. For every €50 donated tonight, you'll be entered into our raffle and will have the opportunity to win one of these 3 handbags that have been made by our youth, ICC youth and young adults, in one of our vocational workshops. These bags are really beautiful. Now, our thermometer is ready to go live, so let's kick off and let's take a look at where we are. Okay, so right now we are showing €100. What I love about our thermometer this year is that we have, can you see here, the runner with his prosthesis. And every gift that is made tonight will move him closer towards his finish line at the end of the race. Now, we know that many of you already give generously to ICC. But we hope that this event both challenges you and inspires you as you see what ICC is racing to do and the lives that are waiting to be changed. Later on, as we come to the end of our evening, there's going to be time for you to reflect on all that you've heard and seen and to decide what your response will be. However, some of you may not be able to stay around for the whole event, and if you can't, here is the link that will enable you to donate this evening. So that's www.givenl.live. You can type that into your phone or into your browser, www.givenl.live, or you can see that QR code there that you can simply scan with your phone and it will take you straight through to that donation page. At whatever point you make a donation this evening, your gift will be added to our live thermometer and it's going to move us closer to our goal. Well, this evening, I am particularly excited to introduce my first guest to you because I first met Suanu back in 1994 when I first visited the Changsha Welfare Centre. The conditions at that time were absolutely tragic, and the mortality rates were really high, up to 80% for children with a disability. Now, I remember meeting this 5-year-old girl, Suanu. In the midst of living in terrible suffering, I could see in her eyes the will to live. There was a strength in her, and whilst she was bent under the weight of her suffering, she was not broken. Would you please join me in welcoming Suanu to the Race Against Time Gala? Suanu, 你好，很高兴你能参加我们今天晚上的募款活动。
高先生你好，
我记得我第一次来到长沙就是1993年，你那时候才有几岁？你还记得当年那个来参访的外国朋友团队吗？
那时候我5岁，虽然当时不太记得，但是在1997年的时候，我就记得你这个蓝鼻子的蓝眼睛的高富帅高先生，你太帅了，太帅了。
哎呀，哪里，我不好意思啊。这么多年来，中国已经发生了很大的变化，但是能不能跟我们聊一聊你那时候在福利院的生活是什么情况的呢？
那个时候的福利院是很简陋的，几乎什么都没有，没有老师教我们学习，吃的也很少，每天只有2个很难吃的菜，而且很多时候都吃不饱，吃的时候我们小伙伴都要靠抢的，也没有新衣服穿，一件衣服我记得要穿很久很久很久，而且每天都必须坐在马桶上，不能到处跑。对了，我还记得没有牙刷刷牙，当时我就用手指刷牙，这样。如果我幸好小时候吃的糖也比较少，不然我恐怕就长蛀牙了。
我记得那时候的条件真的很艰苦的。事实上，这是我为什么创办 ICC 的原因，就是因为我相信，像你和李氏、王贵、王华、你朋友等等，你们应该得到更多的关爱和进步成长的机会。我记得我们绿洲中心由1997年1月正式成立，那是 ICC 和中国政府合作的第一个项目。此后的几个星期内，你们就陆续被送到绿洲中心了。你记得搬过去之后，你们的生活有什么变化吗？
变化太多太多了，比如说进门出门都有不同的衣服和鞋子，晚上睡觉还得换睡衣，以及最记得的是每天饭后都必须要刷牙的。每天也有很丰盛的菜肴，3菜1汤，上午和下午都有水果吃，中午还要午睡的。每天还有老师教我们学习、做游戏，还有好多的玩具和衣服。我们的生活就像公主般的生活一样。
我知道你一直有一个想学习钢琴的梦想，那你是不是到绿洲中心之后开始学的？又是什么帮助你真的实现了这个梦想呢？
从小在绿洲当时其实还不知道什么是钢琴，我们那个时候只有电子琴。后来有一次偶然的机会 ，ICC 有一个爱心人帮我们捐赠了一台钢琴，然后当时我们机构的一个小朋友也在学习钢琴，我就在旁边偷学来着，然后呢，有个新加坡的林老师发现了，他就说：“孙武，你是不是想学钢琴呀？”我说：“是啊。”他说：“那你会不会好好学？会不会坚持学？”我说：“一定会的。”就这样，他就资助了我10节课，然后 ICC 资助我2年之后，就说可能还是觉得学习有点困难了。然后，不过这个时候我要感谢上帝，他派来了一位天使，就派来了我的丽丽老师，他来教我钢琴。然后我就在这基础用了4年的时间考完了钢琴10节，然后现在也和他在一起教其他的小朋友弹钢琴，我觉得这是一件很感恩的事情。
哇，那非常好！现在你已经成为了一个优秀的钢琴师了，就像所有其他动手练习的孩子一样。但是我们知道，你是比一般的人付出了更多难以想象的努力，才有今天的成就的。 我记得你几年之前被邀请去参加中国一个国家电视节目的钢琴表演，能不能跟我们聊一聊你是如何得到这样一个宝贵表演的机会呢？
那是在 ICC 还有福利院以及我钢琴老师的筹划和策划之下，还有其他的爱心朋友的资助之下，办了我的这场个人的独奏会，是在长沙最大的音乐厅办的，真的很感谢，再次感谢大家的帮助。
哇，我非常好的一个经验。我想与大家分享一下你那次钢琴的表演的录像，可以吗？
OK， 没问题，可以的。
谢谢。谢谢Suanu非常精彩的表演，我们很荣幸 ICC 成为你生命成长的一部分。现在我们世界上的朋友，他们都知道你的故事，也看到了你很精彩的表演。在我们时间结束之前，你有什么话想对大家说的呢？
如果没有几年前的高先生你的帮助，就是来探访我们这个福利院，可能就没有现在的 ICC， 就是也没有现在的我。因为我觉得就因为你们的到来，你们的爱，让我的生活真的是有了一个翻天覆地的变化。而如今在中国还有很多很多像我们这样的残疾的孩子需要大家的帮助，所以我在这里呼吁大家，真诚的呼吁大家来支持 ICC， 让更多的残疾孩子能够享受到爱、希望、机会。谢谢。
谢谢Suanu，谢谢你今天晚上参加我们的活动，我们也和大家一起祝愿你继续健康快乐的生活下去。再见。
拜拜。
拜拜。
谢谢。
I feel so humbled by Suanu's story. What an amazing journey from being a young girl abandoned, suffering with a painful physical condition and without hope, to now being an accomplished musician and piano teacher. You know, it isn't very often that you get to tell a 27-year story like this. What I really love is that you can see the long arc of ICC's work. I call it the long journey of love. You can see how walking alongside a child can not only truly change their lives, but it can help them achieve their potential. And in this particular instance, it's helped make dreams come true. But as Suanu said, there are so many other children just like her that are waiting for this kind of help and support. And of course, that's why we're here tonight, to afford those opportunities of love and hope to those who are living without them right now. Well, whether you are born with a disability or acquire a disability at some time in life, you're going to experience challenges. Tonight, we're not only hearing from children and families that ICC serves, but from another group of people living with a disability, Paralympic athletes. I'm excited to introduce these guests to you because they serve to remind us that having a disability should not mean having to give up your dreams. I first saw Lowell and Julie Taylor on my family's favourite TV show, The Amazing Race Canada. If you don't know what The Amazing Race is, it's a race where 12 couples compete to complete a race across Canada and sometimes the world. And along the way, they have to complete these challenging tasks and overcome obstacles to win the race and a prize of $250,000. In season 4, The Amazing Race introduced us to Lowell and Julie, one of the 12 couples in the race. Lowell and Julie, whilst filled with energy and a love for life, also faced an extra degree of challenge in competing. You see, Lowell is blind. Imagine racing across Canada and the world, rappelling off buildings, hanging from a skytram or gondola over 600 metres above the ground when you have virtually no vision. As the weeks went by, my family and I became real fans of Lowell and Julie. Whilst Lowell faced the challenges of his disability, they did not let it stop them from competing. So I'm so delighted tonight to welcome from Canada, Lethbridge, Alberta, Lowell and Julie Taylor. Lowell and Julie, welcome to the Race Against Time Gala. I'm really thrilled to have you join us this evening.
Hello, thank you for having us. We're thrilled to be here.
Now, in 2016, you both took up the huge challenge of taking part in The Amazing Race Season 4. And my family and I are big fans of that show. And actually, we were big fans of you too. We cheered for you as you were racing. And I wanted to begin by asking you if there was one particular highlight from your time on The Amazing Race that really just stood out to you.
Thanks for cheering us on, first of all. Our second leg in Vietnam was definitely my favorite. I had been worried going in about crossing the super busy Vietnam roads because I was guiding my blind husband and our crew, and I was worried I'd get us all killed. But our cab driver forged ahead, parted the traffic, and then wouldn't even accept payment for it after when we tried to pay him generously.
And I got to do some things that I wouldn't get to do otherwise. One of those was running this tugboat to push log jams in northern BC on the ocean. It was so awesome. In The Amazing Race, you get to do things you don't get to do anywhere else, like rappel off the Calgary Tower and bungee jump off a Skytram in Jasper. It's pretty epic.
Yeah, I loved watching you do that. I still remember when you let go of the monkey bars on the Skytram and you fell, and the look on your face was just like pure enjoyment. I loved seeing that. And I wanted to ask you, where does this adventurous spirit come from, and what led you to take part in The Amazing Race?
Shortly after getting married, we actually lived in New Zealand for a year, and we took part in every single crazy adventure that they had to offer. During that time, we received so many messages from people prompting us to apply for The Amazing Race. But at that time, the Canadian version didn't even exist. When the Canadian one did start, we watched with special interest. And it was in 2016 that we thought, oh, Lowell still has a little bit of sight left. And our kids seemed old enough to leave with my parents for 5 weeks. Looking back, they were babies and we were crazy. They were only 3 and 4. But I love hanging out with Lowell and giving him the chance to see and do as much as possible before he loses his sight completely was definitely motivation enough for me to do the race with him.
Yeah, I'm a blind guy who doesn't look blind. I have a genetic eye condition. It's degenerative. It's called retinitis pigmentosa. And I'm slowly losing my vision ever since I was a child. My grandpa had it as well, and he went blind at the age of 40, and I'm almost 40 now. So there's this degeneration of my vision, and it means that I'm slowly losing things, and it's a perpetual grief, a perpetual loss. Once able to do something, now I'm unable to do it.
Yeah, wow. That's really, really challenging. But, you know, one of the things I think that was so apparent on The Amazing Race is this hasn't stopped you from wanting to A, live a life full of adventure, and B, realize dreams. And that's pretty incredible. Julie, what's it like for you being married to someone who thrives on taking up such incredible challenges? Are you someone who loves challenges too?
Sometimes watching him terrifies me, like when he and his tandem cycling pilot reach 103 kilometers per hour on a bike, or when he is sauntering across monkey bars hanging from a sky tram 2,000 meters above ground. But it's hard to worry too much when when living out his adventures brings him so much joy and such a huge grin to his face. I like to challenge myself in slightly lower key ways, such as putting together an IKEA dresser.
Yeah, and anybody who has ever put together an IKEA dresser knows how challenging that can be. So anyway, Lowell, I want to ask you a question about this long-held dream that you've had to take part in the Paralympics. I know that you've been hoping to go to Japan this year. Tell me a little bit about where that dream is up to and what motivates you to kind of reach for those heights.
Yeah, I need a big goal to work towards. And the Paralympics is the top of that in the sporting realm for us who have a disability. So I'm aiming to be a paracyclist to represent Canada at the Paralympics. However, COVID has really thrown a wrench into some of the plans. So even now, it's up in the air whether I'm able to attend or not. So I continue to have to focus on the process, focus on training and being the best version of myself, being ready to perform, and realizing I'm doing this for fun, for passion, for inspiration, and to be the best, healthiest version of myself.
That's fantastic.
As we move towards this, the next goal will be to represent Canada at the Road World Championships, try and qualify for Tokyo still, and then reset my sights if I don't make it, and reset it to Paris 2024 for the next Paralympic Games.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure no matter whether it's taking part in the amazing race or training for the Paralympics, there must be a whole kind of ecosystem of support that makes this possible. Can you share with us a little bit about the different supports that make this possible for you?
First and foremost, I would say we are each other's biggest supporters. And I am certainly Lowell's #1 fan. But we also have tons of amazing and supportive family and friends. And at the very top of that list is my parents. They live a couple blocks away from us. They are second parents to our kids. We are so grateful for them and would not be doing life without them. Our larger community as well, even some people we haven't met personally, have been hugely supportive. And we are so grateful.
Yeah, that's great. Having each other and family and a community of support really does make all the difference. And as you know, unfortunately for the families that we work with in China, those families that have children with disabilities and the children themselves, they don't have those supports. They don't have that kind of community system, family systems around them to support and encourage them. And when you hear about children living in these immensely difficult situations of stigma and prejudice and poverty, what goes through your minds? What goes on in your hearts?
The first word that comes to mind is unfair. We feel so lucky that we were born into loving, functional family units in a country like Canada. We have so much privilege and so much to be grateful for. Children do not choose to enter life in these situations, so it doesn't seem fair and it hurts our hearts.
And realizing that privilege, it also makes us feel this immense amount of responsibility that we can be part of supporting others and supporting those who are struggling through all of their different challenges.
Well, and you're definitely doing that tonight through taking part in this Race Against Time Gala. Lowell, Julie, you have been such an inspiration to my family. And so I really want to thank you for that, because you're showing us something. You're showing us an example of what it means to live life to the fullest, even when you're facing great challenges. And as we come to the end of our time, I'd love to give you an opportunity to speak a few words directly to those people that are watching tonight.
We want to thank everyone for coming to the gala this evening. This work is changing the lives of really vulnerable children that need our help.
Thank you for being here, and please give generously so that ICC can continue to have this massive impact on so many families and so many children who are struggling with disability.
Lowell and Julie, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules to be with us. And thanks for encouraging us all to do our best for China's most vulnerable children.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Aren't Lowell and Julie amazing? I'd like to pick up on what Julie said just now. She said she felt so lucky to be born into a loving family here in Canada. She was recognizing that where you are born can often determine what your life is going to be like. She also said that children do not choose to enter life in these situations. And she's right. The families that have a child with a disability in China and the children that are abandoned because they have a disability, they don't choose this. This is the life that they find themselves in. Lowell, by virtue of being in Canada, in a nation that affords support and opportunity to those with disabilities, he's able to pursue his dreams and realised his fullest potential, as he said, to be the best version of himself. The children and families that ICC is reaching, by virtue of being in China, find themselves barely hanging on to hope. They're losing their race against time. And yet we, that's you and I, can do something about that. We can share from the little that we have or the abundance that we have. And in doing so, we can change their circumstances. We can give them the opportunity to win their race, to run it with strength and with hope. Okay, well, we're going to check in now and see how we're doing with tonight's goal. Let's take a look. Okay, well, we have jumped up now to €285. I want to thank those of you that have given tonight. We really appreciate your contribution, helping us reach even more families. And let me remind you that there is that €5,500 of matching funds that we have. So every euro on that thermometer is going to get doubled. I'm going to quickly remind you of the giving link again. The giving link is www.givenl.live. www.givenl.live. You can type that into your browser or into your phone, or you can simply scan the QR code. And every euro that you give will help ICC reach more families that have a child with a disability and provide care for children that have already experienced the pain of abandonment. Now, for a child that's experienced abandonment, life in a Chinese welfare centre is cruel and lonely. There's often little understanding of the special kinds of care that a child with special needs requires. There's little motivation to keep these babies and children healthy. As soon as a child with a disability is born, the clock starts ticking. Now, when my second son, Kieran, was diagnosed with a disability at 3 months old, I remember how we were surrounded by infant development specialists, therapists and medical personnel, all of whom wanted Kieran to have everything that he needed to succeed. They knew that the sooner Kieran got that support, the greater the chance of him achieving his potential. Unfortunately, it's not the same in China, and that is why abandonment takes place. For those that are abandoned, life is very harsh, which is why ICC continues to reach out to children in welfare centres that so desperately need help. You see, if ICC's medical staff, therapists, social workers, vocational trainers and special educators can reach these children in their earliest days, then that race against time suddenly changes and it becomes a journey towards becoming who God wants them to be. This evening I'd like to share with you the story of one little boy who, without the love and support he's getting in one of ICC's care centres, wouldn't be alive today. Here is Kyla Alexander, ICC's China Operations Director, with Liang Liang's story.
Hi everyone, my name's Kyla Alexander. I'm ICC's China Operations Director, and it's great to be here tonight with you at the Race Against Time Gala. And we in ICC, we really are in a race against time to help children in China with disabilities. I've been working in China with ICC for 20 years now, and I see firsthand every day the difference and the transformation that comes into families' lives, families that have children with disabilities, when we come around them and support them, and the transformation that comes around children when we place them in families in our care centres. And I want to thank you, all of you, for partnering with us and being a part of that transformation. And today, I want to tell you a little story about a little guy that I know. I've known him since he was born. And his name is Liang Liang, and he was born in 2013. And he was born with Down syndrome. And around about the age of 6 days old, his parents felt that they couldn't take care of him anymore. And he wound up in the welfare centre. He was diagnosed at that point with a really severe congenital cardiac abnormality. And we were told at the time, he was in welfare centre care at the time when we first met him, and we were told that he wouldn't live. His heart defect was so severe that he just wouldn't survive. So we began to support the welfare centre in providing him care. We didn't have any space in our care centre at that time, but we began to support them. And this little guy continue to survive the next couple of months, and it was decided that he would move into our ICC care centre and we would give him care for as long as he lived and as long as he needed. Little Liang Liang survived, and he continued to live despite the diagnosis he was given, and eventually doctors said that they were willing to operate on him, and he went to Beijing and had surgery when he was a couple of years old, and then came back and thrived again within our care centre. Liang Liang needs pretty specialised therapy. He needs very specialised education services. He is a child with pretty significant needs, but he is an absolute blessing to his community. He is part of our woodpecker family, and there he's the little guy that loves all the cuddles. He loves climbing. He's really starting to develop with his walking skills and his motor skills, although he's not walking independently yet. I think he will be very soon. Just watching him run his race and meet his goals and meet his potential through the love that he's been given through ICC is such a great blessing. And you make that possible. We've heard some Olympians tonight, and they've told us our story and how they need a community to help them to run their race. Well, Liang Liang's running his race because of the community that's around him, supporting him, and thank you for that. And I ask you to give so that thousands of more children like Liang Liang can run their race and meet the potential that God has for them. So good night, and God bless, and thank you for supporting ICC with the work that we do.
For me, this is a beautiful example of a little boy who would have died in a welfare centre, but because he came to ICC and became part of the woodpecker family, he didn't just survive, but now he's thriving. And for Liang Liang and for many children like him, we come together this evening. Now, last year, I'm not sure if you remember, but one of our staff, Alison Kennedy, wrote a beautiful song for us that we premiered at last year's event. Well, this year, Alison, our very own singer-songwriter, has blessed us again with a new song. So sit back and enjoy The Race by Alison Kennedy.
There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Through the rain and through the rays and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Looking high, feeling deep, I need to know that you're with me. Are you with me? It's feeling wild, feeling weak, I don't know. Are you with me? Oh, are you with me? Through the rain, through the rays, through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, there's a race I need to run. Can you take my hand? Everybody needs someone. Through the rain, through the rays, and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, the race I need to run.
I think the words of that song speak for themselves, and they speak what children with disabilities would want to say to us if they could speak directly to us. There's a race I want to run. I hope you enjoyed that video. So we ran a special ICC Sports Day across our ICC projects, and our kids came together and had so much fun playing all those different sports. Well, my next guest this evening faces real challenges every day as she deals with her disability that she acquired when she was 18 years old. Her story is challenging, but inspiring. Challenging because it was actually on a mission trip that she got sick, which led to her disability. Inspiring because she's bravely faced that disability and she's gone on to represent the Netherlands at the Paralympics, the World Championships, the European Championships. So will you please join me in welcoming Para-Olympian sitting volleyball, Miss Ellen Chelan, as she's interviewed by Rens Bravenburg, ICC Netherlands Executive Director.
Thanks David, it's great to be with you tonight. Dankjewel David, heel leuk om hier vanavond te zijn. Hallo allemaal, ik ben Rens Bravenburg en ik ben de nationaal directeur van International China Concern in Nederland. Namens International China Concern Nederland mag ik jullie allemaal bedanken voor jullie aanwezigheid. Heel leuk dat jullie kijken. Vanavond heb ik het voorrecht om een heel bijzondere gast aan jullie voor te stellen. Zij is Paralympiër in zitvolleybal. Ze is in 2016 heeft ze meegedaan met de Olympische Spelen in Rio, de Paralympische Spelen. En in 2007 is ze zelfs wereldkampioen geworden. Dus graag een digitaal applaus voor Ellen Chelan. Ellen, welkom.
Dankjewel, leuk om er te zijn.
Ja, heel leuk dat je er bent. Ontzettend leuk dat je meedoet, dat we je vanavond mogen interviewen. Zou je jezelf even kort willen voorstellen? En ook even willen aangeven hoe jij je beperking ontwikkeld hebt?
Ja, mijn naam is Ellen Chelan. Ik ben 38 jaar, getrouwd met Marcel. En we hebben 2 jongens, Levi van 12 en Joa van 10, of bijna 10 jaar. Ik heb, toen ik 18 was, heb ik een ernstige bloedvergiftiging door een meningokokbacterie gehad. En als gevolg daarvan zijn mijn beide onderbenen en bijna al mijn vingers geamputeerd. Dus dat is eigenlijk dat is mijn beperking.
Ja, heftig. En je was ook niet in Nederland in die periode, heb ik al van je begrepen. Wat heeft jou in die moeilijke tijd geholpen?
Nou, ik kan me heel goed herinneren dat ik eigenlijk net ziek was. En het was gewoon heel heftig. Maar dat ik ook op dat moment in het ziekenhuis lag en bij mezelf eigenlijk dacht... Nou, God, dit is gewoon te moeilijk. Dit is te groot. Dit kan ik niet alleen. Wilt u me alsjeblieft helpen? En ik herinner me dat het voor mij echt was als een vraag aan God. Maar ook echt als een begin van mijn relatie met God. Waarbij ik wel christelijk was opgevoed. En wel weer wat meer met God bezig ging op die leeftijd, zeg maar. Maar waarbij dit wel echt een markeerpunt was. Waarbij ik eigenlijk daarna echt mijn leven met God ging leiden. En daarnaast, God is echt mijn hoop daarin geweest en is het nog steeds. En zijn liefde is gewoon heel belangrijk voor mij. En ik denk voor iedereen, maar om het voor mezelf uit te leggen nu, gewoon dat hij onvoorwaardelijk van je houdt. Hoe je er ook uitziet, of je nou wel of geen vingers hebt, of wel of geen benen. Dat God gewoon van je houdt, dat is heel belangrijk.
Ja, mooi en bijzonder hoe belangrijk God juist in die periode voor jou is geworden en welke rol hij nu ook speelt in je leven. Als we iets verder gaan in de tijd, hoe heb jij die passie voor zitvolleybal eigenlijk ontwikkeld?
Nou, ik als tiener heb ik een tijd gevolleybald, dus staand volleybal. En toen ik op een gegeven moment deze ziekte dan had gehad en mijn amputaties, was ik aan het revalideren. En toen in het revalidatiecentrum heb ik op een gegeven moment, met mijn fysiotherapeuten had ik het over. Zou dat dan nog kunnen, weet je wel, dat volleyballen. Dus toen hebben we op een gegeven moment gewoon een bal gepakt en gewoon maar eens geprobeerd en gekeken. En het ging eigenlijk best aardig. En toen heb ik me op een gegeven moment aangemeld bij een club in Assen, vlakbij waar ik woonde. En daar ben ik echt gewoon zitvolleybal gaan spelen. Ik ben samen met een vriendin toen begonnen, dat was ook heel leuk. Zij volleybalde ook altijd. En we zijn eigenlijk gewoon samen de uitdaging aangegaan. Zij had geen handicap, maar in Nederland mag dat. Mag je ook zonder handicap zitvolleyballen. En zijn we eigenlijk samen dat avontuur begonnen.
Leuk, leuk. En je bent
Ja.
uiteindelijk ook voor Nederland uitgekomen. Dat moet ook een bijzondere ervaring geweest zijn. Als je nou kijkt naar die hele periode van ziek worden via revalidatie naar topsport en waar je nu bent. Wat heeft jou in die periode, in die hele ontwikkeling eigenlijk het meeste geholpen?
Ja, meerdere dingen denk ik. De mensen om mij heen. Marcel en ik kenden elkaar net een maand. We hadden een maand verkering toen ik ziek werd. Maar je gaat door een heel gekke periode natuurlijk. Als je een maand verkering hebt, is dat niet meestal de dingen die je met elkaar meemaakt. Maar maakt wel je relatie meteen heel diep en hecht. En ik ben er dan in die zin ook heel dankbaar voor dat we het samen mochten meemaken. En mijn ouders, mijn andere familie, mijn vrienden, die hebben me heel geholpen. Maar ook wel dingen als goede voorzieningen voor prothese. Ik loop op 2-beenprothese. Dat gewoon goed geregeld is. Dat je altijd eventjes naar je prothese maken kan als er iets aan de hand is. Dat soort dingen hebben mij wel echt verder geholpen. En ook wel dingen om zelfstandig te zijn. Een eigen auto waar ik in kon rijden. Op de hogeschool was alles gewoon goed geregeld. Dat soort dingen zijn belangrijk. En ook het sporten zelf echt wel. Dus het lekker bezig zijn, maar ook wel in sport eventjes niet zozeer anders zijn. Omdat de meeste mensen dan iets hebben. Of ze kijken daar gewoon niet zo raar van op. Dat heeft me ook wel echt geholpen. Ja.
Ja, dat geloof ik. Mooi. Vanavond gaat het natuurlijk ook echt over de kinderen in China met een beperking. En dat we hun leven willen veranderen. Zij hebben met hun families komen zij natuurlijk allerlei problemen, allerlei moeilijkheden tegen. Zoals stigma, uitsluiting, vooroordelen, armoede ook. Zij hebben echt onze hulp nodig. En voor hen is het dus ook een race tegen de klok om onze zorg te kunnen ontvangen. Stel dat jij in China geboren zou zijn, hoe zou je het leven dan ervaren?
Ja, dat is moeilijk voor te stellen, omdat het hier natuurlijk zo anders is. Ik heb natuurlijk wel jouw verhalen gehoord en ook wel filmpjes gezien van ICC. En ja, het lijkt me heel moeilijk, want de kansen zijn denk ik zo anders. En er wordt zo anders naar je gekeken. Hier in Nederland ben je toch wel echt gewoon nog onderdeel van alles, van de maatschappij. En er kan heel veel, zeg maar. En ik denk dat dat in China gewoon wel echt anders is. En ook het feit dat wij ziektekostenverzekeringen hebben, die gewoon heel veel betaalt. En dat is daar natuurlijk gewoon heel anders. Dat lijkt mij dat mijn leven zou heel anders zijn. Dat kan ik me bijna niet anders voorstellen.
Ja, dat geloof ik, Ellen. En als ik dat hoor, dan inspireert het mij ook weer om juist voor de kinderen in China ook gelijke kansen te creëren. Maar goed, we moeten afronden, Ellen. Heel leuk om jou te mogen interviewen vanavond. Dank je wel. Dank voor je inspirerende bijdrage. Is er nog iets wat jij wilt delen met de mensen die nu vanavond meekijken?
Ja, bedankt dat u bij dit event bent van ICC. Ik heb ICC een beetje mogen leren kennen inmiddels ook. En weet dat ze heel belangrijk en goed werk doen. En als ik het inderdaad vergelijk met hoe we het hier hebben, dan is het daar zo anders. En ik hoop ook dat u wil overwegen om ICC financieel te steunen, zodat zij ook dit hele belangrijke werk voor gehandicapte kinderen in China kunnen blijven doen en kunnen blijven voortzetten. Bedankt.
Jij bedankt, Ellen.
Graag gedaan.
Back to you.
I don't know if you noticed, but Ellen spoke about how having family and friends and community and her faith, that's really helped her run her race. And this is what we see in ICC. Having a community around you to support you and help you to succeed is so critical, particularly when you have a disability. The children ICC serves need that community too. They need family, and that is what ICC becomes to them. They need community, not just those in their immediate neighbourhood, but caring people like you as you support the work of ICC. Let me just say a big thank you to Ellen. Ellen, thank you for sharing your story, for your vulnerability, and for showing us what people who face real challenges can achieve. Okay, we're going to do another check-in and see where we are up to. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. We have jumped up to €2,365. I'm really excited. Thank you so much, everyone, for your incredible generosity this evening. We are getting closer to our goal. Quick reminder for you of that giving link. It's www.giveln.com. nl.live, and you can type that into your browser or into your phone, or you can scan that QR code. So please do give generously tonight. As I mentioned a little earlier this evening, my second son, Kieran, was born with a disability. Now, my wife and I didn't find out about Kieran's challenges until he was about 3 months old, which is when he began to have seizures. As you can imagine, learning about Kieran's neurological condition was a shock, and it was overwhelming. I still remember the doctor telling us what Kieran's MRI had shown, and I remember that sense of disbelief. We were in hospital, in crisis, trying to cope with watching our 3-month-old baby have seizures. You know, you don't really think about how you visualize the future of your child until that future is threatened. But when it is, you realize how many dreams you carry for your child. Simple dreams like being able to walk or being able to speak, being able to learn or graduate from college, or being independent. I remember asking Kieran's neurologist on that day whether Kieran would ever drive a car. What a strange question. And yet it was a question that I needed answering. You see, somehow for me, Kieran being able to drive represented independence. You know, we loved Kieran more than I can say. But the reality was that as a parent raising a child with special needs, it was difficult. It was difficult to walk through those months in hospital, to deal with reoccurring seizures. We experienced a deep sense of loss when his speech didn't develop. And we came to realize that our beautiful son would need our care for the rest of his life. And yet for my wife and I, of course, we were instantly embraced and supported by our faith in God, our family, our friends, our community, and the supports that a developed nation like Canada can offer. All through Kieran's life, we never doubted that Kieran would have all that he needed to realize his fullest potential, and that we as parents would have access to much needed support that would make a very difficult journey somewhat easier. Why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you about this because my next guest is David Bondy. David is the director of ICC's Family Partners Program, or FPP. Every day, David and his team encounter families that face the same beginning to their parenting story as Linda and I did. They discover they have a child with a disability. However, unlike our situation, they receive little to no support. Would you please join me in welcoming to the Race Against Time, David Bondy. David, welcome to the Race Against Time Gala. It's a real pleasure to have you with us this evening.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, David.
Now, one of the things we're talking about this evening is how we're in a race against time to support families that have a child with a disability before they break apart under the pressure of caring for their child. Rather than talking about the situation kind of hypothetically, I'd love it if you tell us specifically about one of the families that FPP has been working with.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Jiaxin is a 6-year-old girl. She's part of a loving family in Changsha. When you meet her, she's just the cutest little thing. But if you look into this little girl's story and the story of her family, you'll find immensely challenging circumstances. So when Jiaxin was born, her mother was really shocked when the doctor told her that Jiaxin not only had physical disability, but speech delay as well. Jiaxin's mother and father were committed to caring for her, but it was pretty tough. I mean, they began to encounter many health issues and challenges related to Jiaxin's disability, which had a big impact on their finances.
Before Jiaxin was 1 year old, she was always in the hospital. When she turned 1, she began to get a bit better. However, she would often get a persistent cough from drinking her milk because she couldn't swallow properly. This caused pneumonia. Every month, we had to go to the community clinic for her to get an injection. It was much cheaper to do this than to stay in the hospital.
It must have been so stressful for Jiaxin's parents to deal kind of with the ups and downs of Jiaxin's health.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, when Jiaxin turned 3 years old, her parents decided that she needed to begin physical therapy.
And I know that therapy services in China are expensive and difficult to access. Oftentimes, they're just unaffordable for the majority of people.
That's absolutely true. So here's what Jiaxin's mother had to say about that herself.
The doctor told us that Jiaxin's development was delayed. He recommended physical therapy. However, There was just no way we could afford it.
It must be so heartbreaking to know that your child really needs help now, but you have to delay it due to your financial situation.
That's right. I mean, Jiaxin's parents, they were able to scrounge some money, and Jiaxin's mother was really engaged. She worked really hard with her to help Jiaxin learn to crawl. It was slow progress, but Jiaxin did begin to improve.
We did 2 months of physical therapy as the doctor told us that if Jiaxin could learn to crawl, then maybe she could learn to walk. When she was 1 year and 3 months old, Jiaxin herself was eager to walk. When she managed to get her body in a stable position, she was able to move forward. However, she still wasn't able to stand independently.
So Jiaxin had to stop her therapy when the money ran out, which must have been so difficult. But because now she was able to walk, her parents thought that the challenges were over, but then they began to discover that there were other issues.
Yeah, in fact, they really thought that at this point she no longer had a disability. I mean, oftentimes for families, they're not really told the long-term nature of their child's disability. And so just like Jiaxin's parents, there's a false sense of hope that things will now be normal. However, later they realized that Jiaxin still had some challenges to face.
We realized that Jiaxin was not able to speak. Children her age are often able to say mama or papa. Jiaxin was only able to say ma or ba, the single sounds. When she was 1.5 years old, we took her for a checkup. The doctor told us, your child's speech is not developing. He suggested that we do speech therapy, but we told him about our financial situation. He mentioned that there are some organizations that can help, so we called the Disabled People's Federation.
So Jiaxin's mother once again faced not only the challenge of having insufficient finances, but also of needing to try and find somewhere that could help her with providing Jiaxin speech therapy.
And that must be so emotionally and mentally exhausting to be aware that your child needs intervention in order to continue to develop. You don't have the finances, and actually you don't even know where to look for that help.
Yeah. What made matters worse was that when she contacted the China's Disabled People's Federation, which is one of the organizations the doctor was referring her to, she was told their funding had run out. If she wanted to get any kind of support, she'd have to move to another city that still had funding available. So the situation honestly began to get really desperate for her mother, and she even began to contemplate the unthinkable. She began to consider whether it might be better for her to take Jiaxin's life and that of her own. I mean, she was desperate, out of options, and she didn't know what else to do. It was around this time that Jiaxin's mother learned about ICC's Family Partners program. Our cross-care team began not only to work with Jiaxin, providing her with therapy and education, but to also support the whole family as well. And this made a radical difference to each member of that family.
Yeah, it must have been a huge relief for Jiaxin's mother to finally have access to expert help that wasn't going to leave her family destitute. Now, what kind of changes did her mother begin to see in Jiaxin?
Well, two big ones she's seen. First of all, Jiaxin's speaking. She's using simple words and phrases, which she was not doing before. The second change is she's becoming social. She was so quiet and reserved, but she's actually coming out of her shell now. She's speaking to people, and people are responding. So what's amazing is that now Jiaxin's mother not only has access to special education, physical therapy for Jiaxin, and support for her and her family, she also has something much more precious. She has hope. In fact, for her, having the support of ICC's Family Partners program has, as she said, brought light into her life.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And it really does highlight the struggles that families that have children with disabilities face. And yet, of course, Jiaxin and her family are one of thousands of families and one of thousands of stories of desperation. Now, David, I mentioned a little earlier tonight that ICC has been given a unique opportunity to expand our services to even more families. Can you tell us briefly a little bit about those opportunities?
Yeah, as best we can tell, there are around 7,000 additional families just in the Changsha area that need the kinds of services that we provide. In addition, there's outlying areas such as Hengyang, where we have plans to open a project as soon as possible. So the need is great. The doors are open, and we're prayerfully going to be taking advantage of the opportunities.
I find this so exciting. As ICC's founder, I can see the potential that there is. But of course, this story really does focus in on the pressures and the stress that families are living under, and actually how that can all change with something so simple when someone comes alongside and provides those care and services that a family needs.
Yeah, it really is amazing. I mean, for the Chinese government to ask ICC to take this on, it really does demonstrate the unique relationship that ICC has with the government, local and otherwise.
I find this a really moving story, and of course, the ending isn't written yet. And it may be a long journey for Jiaxin, but I'm excited that we can continue to walk with her and her mother and to see her reach hopefully her fullest potential and achieve some of the dreams that she carries inside of her. Well, David, before we wrap up tonight, do you have a few words that you'd like to say to those that are watching?
Well, I would just like to say that the change that's been made in this family is a big one. And the mother has, in her own words, gone from a victim to an advocate. She is now reaching out to other parents, other families, encouraging them to keep going, keep on, keep it on. And what you have the opportunity to do tonight is you also can be an advocate. You can be an advocate for this work. You can be an advocate for these children, for these families. You can make a big, big difference. So I would encourage you to dig deep tonight and invest in their future because it's going to be bright.
David, thank you so much. The work that you're doing with these families is so, so important. And we really hope that through this Race Against Time Gala, we can actually help that many more families. So thanks again and good night.
My pleasure. Thanks.
As David shared with us this evening, there are thousands of families that have a child with a disability just in the city of Changsha. And many, if not most of them, are struggling like Jiaxin's mother. This is a tragic reality. And I don't know about you, but I found it so hard to hear just now of Jiaxin's mother's desperation that led her to contemplate taking her own life and Jiaxin's life. However, because of ICC's Family Partners Programme, Jiaxin and her mother have now received support and hope. And you know, they're passing that hope on to other families in need. ICC being asked by the local government to help an additional 7,000 families is almost unimaginable in a place like China. Even though China has changed and the government is allocating more funding to these issues, the reality is that ICC is one of only 12 organisations in China that are permitted to work with children and youth with disabilities. We're one of the very few that have both the respect of the government and the expertise to truly make a difference to these families. ICC's future is bright because God has given us an incredible opportunity. But making that dream of helping 7,000 families come true is another reason that we're here tonight, to ask you for your help to make it happen. So let's check in again and see how we're doing as we reach towards tonight's goal. Okay, we have jumped up another €1,000. We're now at €3,620. That is amazing. Thank you so much to all of you who have given since the beginning of this evening. Your generosity is amazing. Now, in this race against time, we've heard from Lowell and Julie, who have literally raced across Canada. And we've heard about how Lowell is racing to fulfill his dream to become a Paralympic cyclist. We've also heard Ellen's story and seen how her dream has been realised through competing at the Paralympics and her team becoming world and European champions. I know that I feel inspired by them. And yet tonight, in addition, we've also heard from 3 beautiful, unique individuals. We've heard directly from Suanu, in her own words, who began life abandoned and suffering and without hope, and how her dream to become a pianist and music teacher has come true with ICC's help. And we've heard about Jiaxin and Liang Liang, 2 young children whose race could have been tragically cut short, and yet who now have the opportunity to realise their potential and discover their dreams. Here's what I see tonight. I see that for each one of us, our dreams are different, aren't they? We're all unique. We all have that unique potential and unique dreams. The dreams of Lowell are not Ellen's dreams. Suanu's dreams will not be Liang Liang or Jiaxin's dreams. So what does achievement look like for those that are ICC's children? What is their gold medal for this race? Well, I'd like to share a video with you, a very cute video that literally shows the bumpy journey that some of ICC's children face as they seek to achieve something that comes so naturally to most of us. That is learning to walk. Take a look.
In my soul, race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Looking high, feeling deep, I need to know that you're with me. Are you with me? It's feeling wild, feeling weak, I don't know. Well, are you with me? Oh, are you with me? Through the rain, through the rays, through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, the race I need to run.
Around the world, ICC people just like you stand with us, and you enable us to help these two beautiful children do things like learning to walk. That is pure gold. And through each person's generosity, ICC is further able to expand our reach and to help and give support to more families. Well, we hope too that you will support us to reach some of those 7,000 families and more children who are waiting in welfare centres. I'd like to introduce to you Xindan. Xindan is a supporter of ICC in the Netherlands, and here is how ICC is supporting her and her family's life.
大家好，我是辛丹，来自荷兰鹿特丹。我创立了一家网络媒体公司，然后同时也是2个孩子的妈妈。在2019年，我第一次去到了长沙，也是我的家乡，第一次见到了 ICC 的那些可爱的孩子们。我现在依然清楚地记得，当我推开那个房间的门的时候，有一个男孩子，他一拐一拐地朝我走过来，但是他特别热情地拥抱了我。然后他的眼神非常的清澈，然后满脸都是笑容。他的这样的一个拥抱也深深地感动了我。我在想，为什么这些的孩子跟我想象中的那些残障孩子不一样呢？后来我就找到了答案。我想，那是因为在他们身后有一群 ICC 的工作人员，他们是用爱心还有生命来陪伴这些孩子成长。他们日复一日的给他们喂饭，然后为他们做复健、做按摩，然后陪他们做游戏，然后陪伴他们的成长。然后在每一个 ICC 孩子的身后我相信都有一个非常感动人的生命的故事。所以当我回到荷兰之后，我也开始加入到ICC 的支持者的行列中。在去年ICC 的 Walk the Wall 的筹款的活动中，我更是全家总动员，然后来支持 ICC。我的10岁的大儿子带着5岁的小儿子一个一个的去敲我的邻居的门，为他们这些孩子来筹款。他们虽然力量很小，但是他们的爱心也很大，也让我也非常的感动。所以今天呢，我也特别的邀请你也加入到我们的行列中来用你们的爱心来真真正正的支持 ICC， 然后让我们可以一起来改变这些 ICC 的孩子他们的生命。非常感谢你的支持和爱心。
So we're coming to the end of our evening, and I want to sum up what this race against time is all about. It's about racing to reach families that are going to break apart without help. It's about racing to reach children who live a hopeless existence without help. It's about reaching 7,000 new families that ICC has been invited to support. And it's about giving all these children the opportunity to fulfill their potential and to reach for their dreams. It's about being able to tell thousands more stories in the future, just like Suanu's story. It's about Liang Liang and helping him run his race, and it's about Jiaxin and her family as they not only receive hope, but also pass that on to others. This is the race against time, and this is where you come in. You see, in ICC, we trust that God will provide all that we need. But we know that he often does that through caring and compassionate people just like you. And so tonight I want to invite you to give generously. And let me also remind you of that raffle prize, the opportunity to win one of these beautiful handbags made by ICC's youth and young adults. Well, let's check in again on where we're at this evening and see where we're at now. Okay. All right, we are now at €3,620. Thank you so much for your generosity. You are giving us the opportunity to reach that finish line, and I believe we can do that tonight. So if you haven't already given, now is the time for you to be able to do that. I want you to follow the link that's going to be on the screen and make your donation. Whilst considering your response to all that you've heard this evening, enjoy Alison's song, The Race Against Time, with these images of ICC's children.
There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Through the rain and through the rays and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Looking high, feeling deep, need to know that you're with me. Are you with me? It's feeling wild, feeling weak, I don't know. Are you with me? Oh, are you with me? Through the rain, through the rays, through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, there's a race I need to run. Can you take my hand? Everybody needs someone. Through the rain, through the rays, and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, the race I need to run.
Thank you again so much if you've made a donation during that time. Well, we really are very close to the end of the Race Against Time Gala. But before we finish up, I'd like you to welcome Rens Bravenberg, ICC Netherlands National Director. Rens, it's great to be with you and those that have joined us from the Netherlands tonight. And of course, I'd like to give a very special shout out and thanks to Ellen for sharing her amazing story of courage with us. Rens, can you tell me a little bit about your hope for this event tonight?
Yeah, thanks, David. First of all, thank you to everyone watching tonight's event. It's so encouraging to have both current sponsors who've been with us for a long time, new supporters, and to be able to together support the children with disabilities and their families in China. Thank you for everything you've already done tonight, and I also that's also my hope, because I hope that all of you feel the impact that we together have on the lives of these children with disabilities, their families, even the wider community. So, and of course, I hope that yeah, that today's event also helps us to reach more of these families and children that are waiting for our support. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Rens. Well, why don't we do another check-in on the thermometer? Let's look at the total and see where we're up to. That's great.
Wow, that's encouraging. That's really encouraging. Yeah, that's amazing. Hartelijk dank allemaal. Ik doe het even in het Nederlands. Namens iedereen bij ICC hartelijk dank. Wat een bemoediging dat we samen zo'n mooi resultaat hebben opgehaald. Dank u wel.
Rens, would you like to say a few final words to those watching before we finish up tonight?
Yeah, sure. I will do it in Dutch again. Ja, het is al heel mooi dat u natuurlijk hier vanavond bent. Hartelijk dank. Er zijn zoveel kinderen en families die nog op onze hulp wachten. Kinderen met een beperking, hun families die, ja, u hebt vanavond gezien, die in moeilijke situaties zitten. En uw bijdrage helpt ook om daadwerkelijk die 7000 families te kunnen helpen. Die andere kinderen die in weeshuizen in China leven. Dus ook als u nog geen gift hebt gedaan, het kan nog. En voor als u dat wel hebt gedaan of nog gaat doen, heel hartelijk dank. U krijgt natuurlijk via de e-mail een verslag en ook met het eindresultaat en de impact daarvan. Dus hartelijk dank en dank voor uw aanwezigheid vanavond.
Well, thanks, Rens. That's great. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Let me encourage you that if you want to know more about ICC's work, then please do contact Rens. I know he'd love to chat with you. He'd love to share more with you about the work that we do. The opportunity too for you to continue to make donations or ask others to make donations will also stay open over these coming days as well. Well, this evening we've had a great time together. I hope that you've enjoyed the stories. We've raised 3,620, let's have a look, 3,620 euro. And with matching funds, that pushes us almost to that total of 7,000. Well, we've got 7,200 and we're almost at 7,005. Hopefully we'll see that man reach through and break through the finish line in the coming days. We so appreciate the support of everyone in the Netherlands. May each and every one of you know blessings in your own life as you support China's most vulnerable children. Thank you for joining this Race Against Time Gala for China's most vulnerable children, and may I wish you a very good evening.
There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Through the rain and through the rays and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Looking high, feeling deep, need to know that you're with me. Are you with me? It's feeling wild.
Hello, I'm back. And I'm back because for some very strange reason, our thermometer seems to have stopped working. And I just saw a message from Rens to say that we've hit 4,800 euro. So Rens, thank you so much for sending me that message. That's great. That means with our matching funds, we've hit 9,600 euro. We've gone through that 7,500 euro goal that we had. The matching funds will be added later. But again, let me thank you so much for your kindness and generosity. And just to reassure you that if you gave during that giving time, even though the thermometer for some reasons not reflected it, it still actually is added and those transactions have been processed. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody in ICC Netherlands. And may again, I wish you a very good evening. Good night.
There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Through the rain and through the rays and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, a race I want to run. Can you take my hand? Right now I need someone. Looking high, feeling deep, need to know that you're with me. Are you with me? It's feeling wild, feeling weak, I don't know. Are you with me? Oh, are you with me? Through the rain, through the rays, through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, there's a race I need to run. Can you take my hand? Everybody needs someone. Through the rain, through the rays, and through the bed-bound days, through the noise and the haze, I hear your voice say, just one step at a time. There's a rhythm in my soul, the race I need to run.